And start recording. Okay, so we just had to drop off the first minute or two of the stream because we just showed some confidential information on the stream.
Spicy.
Whoops. So that's fine. So what we were doing is we just made, add new item, and we've made AABB.cs, and we've started filling in an axis aligned bounding box structure. We were going to write the contains method, but Daniel started writing left, right, top, bottom, which is fair enough. And then we got into a discussion on the problem with doing top, bottom is you don't know whether you're in an y is up or y is down coordinate space. So sometimes the top is the maximum one, and sometimes the bottom is the maximum one. Like you don't know which one to add the size to. So my inclination in this circumstance is generally to not put these in.
Okay.
Until that question is answered.
Right.
Or do this, which is kind of ugly. So for the time being, we're just going to leave that out. And yeah, we've got rectangle, pretty much got contains. Oh, actually no, this is cast into rectangle. So we're actually going to build our own contains method. Contains
Well, and yeah, we might want your handy as point thing for vector 2, but I guess we can worry about that later.
Well, for the time
being,
the
mouse position is a point, right? So
yeah, it is a point. So we actually have, if you have the latest input, we actually have mouse position F. So we can actually do that.
Oh, we do. Perfect. Yep. Here it is.
So, writing the contains method. So the first thing you have to decide when doing this is how do you handle like the border? Like, are you doing
inclusive
that, or are you doing
versus
inclusive versus exclusive?
I feel like inclusive is the way to go, but maybe people don't.
Well,
I guess yeah. Well, touching the border I think should result in it's being contained, but maybe not. It depends, I guess.
Well, a lot of the time, what like sort of the default, and I think that's probably where we will go with this is, if you're on a some drawing, okay, if you are on some sort of pixel grid, and so say you have position, let's just call that 2, 1 or whatever. I'll call it 2, 2. So 0 is over here, 1, 1. So say you're here, and this is your rectangle. So you've got a rectangle of size, what's that? H equals 3, width equals 4. So in the coordinate system where you're just dealing with points, you do it the same as you do like an array region. You have your starting point, and then you count, say you've got length 3. And this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So if starting point is 4 and you've got size 3, that's the size will, if you add the size, it'll put you out here. So you go greater than or equal to the starting point and less than the ending point.
Yeah, we
Uh,
we touched on that when we were doing the like Minkowski
hmm.
distance, right? There's a kind of like a more geometrical way to do it, but yeah, this makes sense.
Yeah. Um, like this should be super familiar
Hmm.
from just doing standard array access. Like you've just got a start and a length,
Oh yeah.
and so then you port that into your thing for integer rectangles. So you have a start and then it's width 4, so it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, and so that one's out, but the rest of it's in. Um, so it's greater than or equal to start and less than start plus width.
Right.
Um, and that gives you when you measure it from here, it gives you 1, 2, 3, 4 pixels, which is exactly what you'd expect. So what we want to do is basically the same thing with the floating point, and essentially hope that it works out the way you want it to.
What about the epsilon problem? Are we gonna do the whole math abs thing to like snap off the rounding errors, or we don't care about that right now?
So yeah, so then it comes to the epsilon thing. The epsilon thing is kind of overblown in some
Okay.
cases. Like if you're just working in integers and you're not scaling or anything, you're generally fine. What you would probably do if if you have like the number like a screen coordinate like 372 and you convert that to float, you get exactly 372.0,
Of course.
which means that you can do an equality check on this and it's fine.
That's right.
As soon as you be like, 372 divided by 3 equals blah, then you are going to start to run into the kind of problems that epsilon will deal with, because obviously something divided by 3 can't be exactly represented. However, what I think you would typically do in that circumstance, just to make your life easier so you don't have to do the epsilon thing with the rectangle, is you would specify the rectangle to start. I would have to give this more thought to be absolutely sure, and like it sort of depends on what you're actually implementing, but you'd probably start your rectangle on the integer coordinate, and then do it as normal. But you'd add 0. 0.5
Oh right.
to your mouse coordinate, and then you can do all the transforms you like, and you don't need an epsilon because that is sort of your epsilon there.
Right, and then it would, yeah, and then when you cast back, it'll just drop off.
Exactly. Yeah,
That's clever.
in fact, you probably don't necessarily want to truncate. I can't remember how, because the rules for truncation for float to integer I can never remember, and they're a bit weird. So what you'd probably do is just use floor to be sure,
Okay.
which is why you
Yeah.
see floor a whole bunch in like I think the River City code. Some of the rare stuff that deals with floating point. It's always a floor. It's never a truncate or a ceiling, and that undoes that operation neatly, even when you scale. So that's sort of the plan. So the plan is like, let's implement this in the simplest way possible. So if it's inside, return true if p.x is greater than or equal to position.x, and and this has the added benefit of just being really simple, straightforward code.
I had to change my variable to p. see, I would have definitely reached for the left here because then it's like, oh, but I'm repeating stuff.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting point to figure out your coordinate system. I mean, that like it's a weird thing because it's like that really crushed my brain for a while when I had to switch from y down to y up, and now I can't think in y down or with y down anymore. It's kind of like you can only have one of that running at the same time, software wise, brain wise.
Well, this is why it helps to write these things in a coordinate, non-specific way, because it just works.
Yeah.
And yeah, on the properties thing, like for something, I guess as simple as this, like, I'll do that same transform because it doesn't need brackets. I tend to over bracket code, I feel.
Well, but it's a readability thing, right? It looks like a math equation, and so it's more readable for others.
Yeah. How do I want to do this?
I tend to change the framework's floats to integers by accident, so I think your way is better.
So already I can. So this is the nice thing about doing it this way, because already I can spot a bug.
Oh yeah.
So that's just sort of reinforcing this, like treating the code like ASCII art. I tend to also just stylistically put the ampersands down in front of the thing that's being operated on. And that tends to lead to nicer code because you get constructs like return foo +3 greater than bar, and then you can do like that as.
Yeah, it makes sense. And it's also better for when you're adding multiple items to a collection to kind of like always append the comma on the same line as the new item, so you never have to worry about whether you have to do the count -1 thing. After you've done that a million times, I agree with you.
So, what was I talking about?
I'm so resisting the urge to ask you about lines versus or spaces versus tabs. That's a different conversation for another day.
The correct answer to that question is tabs. However, like it.
I know.
You asked the question. You asked the question. So, tabs is the correct answer. It's always tabs. It should never have been spaces. However, the reason it is spaces is because almost every editor is broken, and the people who make the editors are too lazy to make the editor behave in a sane way. Just to give you an example, I think my IDE is in tab mode. And so, okay, I'm going to add some comments over here. Here is my comment using the column editor feature. So, Alt drag and I can do that. However, if I then go view, what is it? Editor advanced, view white space. Oh, look, it's inserted tabs over here where like it's, my editor's in tab mode, but like I only want tabs for indentation. Like I don't want them. You'll notice I very carefully inserted spaces here as well.
Right.
Because I want like, if someone changes the tabbing, I still want this to line up like that. And so like editors just do the laziest possible way of doing tabs and spaces. And it's 2018. Sorry, it's 2019, people. It's time we had an editor that actually did this properly. But I think the consensus seems to be that, I don't know, for some reason, like in the last couple of years, everyone's gone, no, we're just all going to use spaces, and it's just horrible. It's Like, it's insane that, you know, if I'm in space mode, I can write some code like thank you for fixing that.
Tab.
Yeah. But like, this is incorrectly indented. No one is ever going to put an indent half an indent. I don't want half an indent, and when I hit backspace, I want the whole, you know, 4 characters to go away. So
I agree. This came up because I saw you changed an editor config file or a git config file in something the other, maybe a couple of weeks ago.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And I think it was because I think the git config was changing tabs to spaces. Was that what it was doing?
I tried it. I tried it for a while, and I've had enough.
Yeah, it's funny because I took that editor config file off of one of Microsoft's projects, so it's part of their conventions. So, I've always loved the tabs, but I just made a point to ask you. Like, I figure tabs is the right way to go, but yeah, but you know, you kind of have to like follow what other people are doing, but it also, I don't know. I guess it doesn't. Though it does bother me. I hate having to backspace through the tabs so I can get to the spaces so I can get to the tabs and, you know, get on with my life. But I asked a question because you know, like you said, you carefully aligned the you know, the and operation so that everything is like clean. And you can do that with tabs because there's no there actually is a distinction between the tab and the space. So you have indentation, but you can also control things.
Yeah,
clean levels.
I want my editors to be like, all right, this is the indentation level, so stick your indents with tabs to here, and then the rest of the line do spaces. Like that should be that should be the correct way to do this. And I mean, you know, I did this before. It's like if I return foo, and this is like a really long line plus. And then I want to do this. I actually want 2 tabs here because this is not like a new scope. This is the same line. So I tend to, just as a convention, put 2 tabs there. So, I mean, that's like asking something.
Readability.
That's asking something extra special that, you know, I never, ever in a million years. Like, they might one day fix this bug. They're not going to, but, you know, one can hope. But, you know, they're never going to add a feature like that. And it just seems like someone, back when, like, I think before, because I think at some point in the last couple of years, Microsoft switched from tabs to spaces.
It must have been that, yeah.
And this is why everyone does it. But around that same time, people were, like, talking about, you know what? The correct way to do this is with, like, smart tabs. Like, if I turn that back on, view white space. Like, if I have, let's just say... And this is like, even this is a fine example. If I say, not the finest of examples, but if I were to put like a tab here, 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 and here, this should all end up at the same alignment, even if like this is like somehow really long. This should, rather than like, this should automatically.
Oh, I see.
Like smart tab
over.
Stop everything and render the text like this with just one tab in here. That's like,
that requires the language parser, doesn't it, to know that you're in scope for a particular return statement? Like,
not as such. It just needs you to put a blank line in here to know that this region of tab stops is like, if I did this like here, you know, I'd expect this to format like that.
Right.
But then if I copy this and I do that, and I were to remove this line, then I'd expect the editor to go ahead and be like,
right. You're right. I see what you're saying. So, like any like contiguous block of non-white space is going to like respect the inner tab indentations, regardless of the previous. Okay.
And so someone wrote like a toy editor that did this, and it's like, this is exactly what we should have. This is the way it should work. And I mean, there are downsides. There's downsides to, like this. Nothing is perfect, and so people have just gone with spaces because, well, it's like it's always a space. Everything is a space. We're not doing anything clever, and it works on every editor. And so I can kind of see why you would do that, particularly like for an open source thing where people are using all kinds of ridiculous editor software and no one can be bothered to do it in a sensible way.
Right. Okay.
That's the other thing that is worth pointing out is that the editor should just skim through the file. There shouldn't be a config. The editor should skim through the file and be like, oh, it's like mostly tabbed. Like every line starts with a tab. This is a tab file. And then if every line starts with a space, oh, this is a space file. Instead, you've got this wacky configuration system that like can't handle loose files and stuff. Anyway, so that's
Git has an issue too. Like, when you get like a 1,000-line commit in Git and you can't read it because it's all just white space changes, and then you have to put a filter on it to ignore them, and then checking out with different line endings, and then changing the Git config to enforce your own tabs versus spaces formatting, going different directions. Like people will check out code, switch it to tabs, do the work, commit, and then the open source project will convert it back to spaces on commit. So it just seems like a crazy world.
It's been us. Anyway,
I don't mean to derail us.
That was a fun little version, but yeah. So basically, editor software is terrible, and tabs versus spaces is still a thorn in everyone's side. I wouldn't mind even if the editor just like formatted these with spaces and then just pretended they were tabs while I was editing, and I could just backspace through them. That'd be nice.
That's interesting. Probably write a plugin for that.
Yeah, because you can't expect Microsoft to actually improve the IDE. That's
not that one.
Crazy talk.
That one's dead because it's fast and clean.
Yeah, but it's like this is, aside from the fact you're using a different color scheme, the editor is essentially identical.
Oh, it is, yeah.
And it has been essentially identical for decades.
Well, I wonder if 2019 brings anything new. We'll have to find out.
Oh, you know what it'll bring? It will bring, oh look, we rewrote the whole IDE in JavaScript. It's
probably
VS Code.
True. Actually, well, Visual Studio Code is that, yeah.
Our editor became such a nightmare to work with that the one that we wrote in JavaScript is easier to update. And it's still the same.
Oh man, it's hilarious.
Fucking Microsoft.
We're moving to JavaScript for higher maintainability.
It's funny because it's true, but also tragic. Okay, so
all right. Well,
anyway,
it's fun. The eulogy of the development culture. Okay, right.
Actually,
AABB.
we wrote a class called AABB, and now we're going to just quickly slide that right in. This was supposed to be the warm up, and it turned into the rant, but that's fine. I love a good rant.
I knew it was going to happen when I asked the question, but that's fine. So are we getting rid of layout then? Or we said that we wanted to keep it around, so are we just going to nest in AABB? Oh yeah, that's what you're doing.
Yeah, I feel like we can do exactly that.
Right.
And arguably this is a bit premature. Like, you can already see it's like, oh. And in fact, you probably want to put properties to directly access this. So, like, already putting this in now, it's like, this feels really premature. But seeing as we wrote it, we'll just go for it.
All right, I've got mouse position up already. I forgot.
So let's see if that still works. I just felt that was a thing to do, seeing as we were talking about it last time. So everything still works. So the other thing that we were going to do today is we've got click support for checkbox and for items. which is nice. But we could have support for clicking sliders. Of course, that's going to be a little bit trickier because we have this odd situation where the thing that we're drawing is, we're adding text to it to add the slider. So we're going to actually have to change that as well. So that's the plan.
Okay.
And so just to sort of give you a rough idea of what we might have to do is we might have to do this. And I'm just going to disambiguate this by changing that to, let's say, an equal sign. So we can tell the difference between our buttons and the thing easily. And so, we could make it look like this. So we've got like a plus and a minus button that we could click on.
Right.
And so that's the idea. And
right.
So
give it a shot.
Now I'm gonna, this is one of, last session was, adding hover regions and clickable regions 101. This is 201. Let's give it a shot.
Okay, so obviously our existing clickety click stuff isn't going to work because we don't have letter level or I guess multi-letter level downs, right? So I got the layout bit, and I'm just trying to think what the order is here, whether it is going to matter, or I can bring this up to the top like we did for the other one. I feel like I got to bring all this stuff up too, though, because this is the stuff that we have to draw.
That seems like a good plan.
We're going to be off a tick.
Are we?
But well, because we're going to draw the slide. Oh no, well we're going to, because we're going to,
you're quite right.
We're going to draw the. So maybe it makes sense to do. No, I don't know.
I mean, you can imagine a situation like, we could avoid being off a tick by drawing the slider itself last.
Yeah, but I don't know if I want to deal with the alignment of.
No.
I guess we would draw space. I don't want to go there. I think actually, I don't want to leak any details about the fact that we're actually building text-based controls. Right? That'll probably make. When we draw controls, that'll make it a lot harder, I think.
Yes, although you can imagine that the fact that it is like because of the way we've written it, it's always going to be the same size, even though we're just switching characters around, and so
could just repaint the whole thing over top, I'm sure.
Well, I'm just saying that in theory this is always the same size, so you could leave the correct side space here and then draw it after. But I think you're right probably for now. For now, 1 frame of latency is probably fine, and you just be like, can we get rid of this? Let's see.
Right.
You also might want to consider the fact that the latency is probably not that bad. Like 1 frame at 60 frames per second. Probably not the end of the world.
Yeah, we probably only come back if it feels sticky in this particular implementation.
The other thing is remember last time when we tried to add a clicking color highlight when you clicked. And,
that didn't work out. It was too fast.
For user feedback, and it was useless because it was so fast. I think it was probably because I was running OBS. It actually didn't appear sometimes because I'm actually apparently rendering it less than 60 frames per second.
So, I don't know. At some point, are we going to try to make this a two-phase thing? Hiding the fact that we're doing it in 2 phases from the usage code, I suppose. But, there's the order matters thing. I don't know if that's something that I mean, you see it again and again, right, in game dev. I'm just wondering if, if it's worth tackling, like removing. Like we had that, in the fighting game, it's like two people punch and they both overlap at the same time, but because one actor is ahead of the other actor, they win that punch. Is the same principles of converting that to a sort of true two pass system? Is that just
Yes. So
not worth it from
so
the
it's a
point of
thing
view
we
of
could do,
UI?
but I mean, because of the way that this is written, then you have to call the entire menu
Twice,
system twice, and that
yeah.
does have potential issues. Um, like
But you
if
don't have to draw it twice. You just pass
you,
through the
well, you have to then run it a second
yeah.
time with the read only flag set, and hope that the user code doesn't screw you over somehow. So
Right. Mm,
it's
okay. So
certainly
that, yeah.
it's a thing that you could look into resolving, but it's not something you try and fix lightly or without sort of working code that you can reason about. Like that's the sort of thing you don't want to design ahead. Like you write this and you make it really simple, and then be like, oh, I've got a frame of latency that I don't like. How can I re-architect it to get rid of that? And because the code that you've written is so simple, like this is vastly simplified from where we were before, I think. You can easily do that rewrite without sort of too much pain.
Right.
So that's
Okay.
that's sort of the benefit of keeping the code really simple.
Yeah, I just think about it often because I think about it being like something, pretty useful to have. But it seems like a pretty big trade-off for a procedural UI because you don't have the retained state, you're kind of stuck with running it twice, and basically
Yeah,
it's twice as slow.
yeah,
And more opportunity for user error, or usage error because of the kind of
exactly,
mental.
exactly.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that's the trade-off when you write an intermediate mode user interface. Really, is like you're just accepting that unless you do a lot of work or you're very careful or something, you might end up with a frame of latency here or there.
Right. Okay. All right. So back to the
Hmm.
task and the. Okay. So here's my layout, and that just has a bounds in it, and that bounds is actually for the whole nine. So
Yep.
that means I need to carve it into sections. Now I got to decide whether I want to do it in here or not. Probably not, because this is sufficient data for all the other methods. But I guess I don't know. Like it depends on. I don't think I want to return like a big pile of bounds, um, representing all of the sections of the entry, or maybe I do. Because if I do that just for slider, it probably will be useful. I mean, we'll want it for the checkbox too, eventually. Because the
Potentially.
checkbox is, well, the checkbox right now is kind of like, I guess that's more Windows style. Actually, no, I can't remember. Like if WinForms let you click on the label to change the state. But I think if
I believe
uh,
Windows was the first thing to implement that, and since then, pretty much everything, including like web browsers, have added that as a feature. Like
huh,
click the label to change the checkbox. But I believe
I've
Windows did that
wasted my
first.
life. I've been clicking the box my whole life, so I I never went back to see if it was. Oh well.
Yeah,
But yeah, I guess we don't really need it for that. So I guess what I'm gonna do is the other thing though is I'm gonna end up recomputing the all of this stuff. Um, like I want some of this information. Maybe I need to hoist some more stuff into layout, because what I want is the text. Actually, I have it. I have the size already.
hmm.
So, but I
So
don't have
yeah,
the count of the text itself, and then the lines. Well, see here now you're stretching. Well, this is not new, but I don't actually know whether um, the font. the sprite font is equal in size. Like I guess they all have the same width, do they?
Um, I'm not sure what you mean. The line spacing
Well, like the
is.
versus a uppercase A, lowercase a, and a space. Do they all have the
Oh
same?
no, it's not a what is it, monospace font.
Right.
It's a
So
yeah. So I just want to point out while you're sort of designing this in your head, uh, we should be able to do this without having to allocate memory. So if you're talking about having like a list of different bounds within the layout
yeah, I
object,
want to avoid that. That's yeah. I
definitely
want to.
something to avoid. Um,
Yeah, I'm just trying to think through what we have for API because this measures a string, and I don't, and I yeah, and if I touch the string, we're going to allocate. Um, so I think we're looking more. Maybe we're going to do a scan on the string, like for a character index or something. Um, but then
then that introduces a lot of issues with like escaping
yeah,
and stuff. It's like, what if the user stuck a bracket in there?
yeah, and then we're also kind of like forcing this weird conventional text UI control thing where you have to like do it exactly like we're doing it. So I don't like that either. Hmm. Okay, so probably not in here. I'm gonna leave that one alone. I'm gonna try to do what we're doing here.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have this information. That's the good thing about being procedural is we have all the data that we could possibly need because we don't have anywhere else to get it from.
Mm-hmm.
So we have the text and we have the min and the max. So maybe we're gonna do well. Again, that's kind of. I guess for simplicity, we could do a positional thing. Yeah, I don't really. It's so we're gonna have to do a bounds check in a bounds. Like once we know we're in the line. So like, here I'll grab this guy. Hold on. So key down, key left. I guess we'll. This is kind of orthogonal. This is just activation, and then say we do this. So when I press down, and I know that so we've done the check to say okay we're in the box, and now we have to do another check to say are we in the plus or minus area. So
Mm-hmm.
you probably want another one of these guys. Uh, How am I gonna do this? I guess we're gonna do like. Well, you said escaping, so I was gonna like rip through the uh, characters in the working buffer, look for a minus and a plus, but then again, that's kind of.
Well, one interesting thing about that is, we're putting those characters in the buffer, so we know their offsets. We know
Oh.
exactly where they are and what they are. So,
Oh, good point. Okay, so well, sort of. I mean, well, we know this one is like. We'd have to change this a little bit, maybe, but 1, 2, 3, 4. No, but they're not. Again, they're not mono-spaced, so I find this kind of melting my brain because
well,
how
let
am I
me
going to get the X position of this
let me show you.
without
Let me just show
rendering
you
it?
something very quickly.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
up
measure
in here,
string, sure. You can. Oh, does it take a character?
we can. Well, it doesn't take a character, sadly. I think I've extended it in the past to do that, but we can do this.
That's very true.
So
Yeah.
that is
Well,
that is an option.
all right. Well, I'll run with that plan. Oops. In other news, compiler compiler is smart enough to like I don't know. Like we again I'm gonna ask this because
Yeah.
like if I do something like that and then I append that and then I append the rest of this. That's no different, right? Because the compiler's gonna intern that anyway. Like that's not a savings of an allocation.
Right, yeah,
right?
you can. So the reason you would code it like that is just to make sure you definitely had the same string in both cases. The compiler, I'm 99% sure, is smart enough to be like, oh, this string is the same. We'll use the same block of memory for it, so you don't have
That's
to help it out there.
Even if it's in line, like even if it's
Yeah,
inside.
even if it's in line. Okay,
Okay.
not in this case, because it has a string has a length and a set of characters, so it doesn't it's not going to do it that way just because the way the objects are laid out.
Okay.
I wonder, do you know how C strings work? How they're like blah 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 with like a 0 on the end of them?
Yeah, and then the way I only know like that, like if you're using like unmanaged memory, a lot of the time you have to do like that Marshall from ANSI C string, and then it like just scans it because it doesn't know the length, so it kind of like just scans it till you hit the terminator, and then
Exactly.
that's it.
So I do wonder, and I don't actually know, but I wonder if a decent C compiler would pick up this set of strings as being like you could point to here, and if you want this shorter string that's otherwise the same, you could just point to here in this other string. So like this would not take up another string table entry. I wonder if that's the case. I don't actually know.
Yeah, and I don't think we want to go into unsafe here and start pinning buffers.
No,
memory
I mean
to
like it's these things are 2 bytes apiece per character.
yeah, and we're gonna throw them out anyway.
We have loads of memory, so it's not a big deal.
One of the things I think would be really cool is if we ever get to the point where we're able to abstract the rendering from the API.
Yeah.
You could swap out, like you could just all the text stuff could be like a text renderer. So if you wanted to switch your UI from like your cool graphics to like a weird like old school terminal, then you just have to change the renderer.
Yeah, that's actually not a bad idea.
But anyway, yeah, okay, I'll try to get on task here. So
That's okay.
I'll end up doing the S thing just for fun.
Well, I would do the S thing because it's the same string, and we want to make sure if we decide to add a space here, we don't forget to add a space in the other place.
Right. So we know how long.
Just a minor thing. I'd probably make the brackets around the minus and the plus thing clickable, just because so you got a larger hit target.
Fair enough. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, right. I mean, we're already doing inclusive anyway, so it includes the brackets. Okay, so that's okay. So we know where we're starting, and then I guess we can now measure the. Well, we're gonna our plus x equals this guy. Why not? Oops, no, I can. There we go. Plus text this guy. Line that up like the readable guy, and then I'm gonna want to get rid of him, and then do that thing I hate where I append plus text. Grab this and I go minus text. And pass that away. And okay, that seems reasonable. Now we just got the end caps, and I don't think we do care about them. Because we need them. We need those ones too. So, okay. Bar left cap equals this guy.
Although, if I may, just to make our lives easier, we could just draw the graph like.
Oh yeah, sure. No fancy in-betweeners.
I feel like we can make it fancy later. Let's simplify the code a bit. Let's make our lives a bit simpler.
Okay, well in that case, we don't really care about that. Well, do I? I'm trying to think if I need to know where this one starts. I think I don't know. I'll worry about it later. Okay, so all right. So now that I have the start size, and I guess we want minus size. Seems like the kind of thing we want to. I'm not gonna. How expensive is this?
The size calculation.
Yeah, is it like all cached already?
Probably at least in level 2, so it shouldn't be that expensive. Like, if you were worried, you would actually cache the not CPU cache, but like pre-calculate the size of each of these rather than calculating it every run.
That's a little bit retainy though, because we'd have to kind of like encapsulate these things kind of outside of the method. But yeah, I mean, we could just put them in resources themselves. Like these could be resources, like plus button resources or whatever.
Yeah, like
Oh, well, now you're just getting fancy. I'm not gonna do that because I think we'd be waiting like 8 minutes for me to write that out.
That's good.
But yeah. Okay. So yeah, I got my stuff. Okay, so now I just gotta stitch this together. Basically. Okay, so position is the well, I think it's just the layout position or bounds position because that's where we're. No. Well, we need that. That's the left hand side of the line, and then we need to add the start size X. Get us. Wait. Yeah, that gets us to the edge of the button. Wait a minute, what's going on here? X.
Well, let me stop you here. One thing that will make this easier. So rather than handling the input first, try drawing the regions that you've created. So
sure.
like draw the thing you're going to do the hit test on before writing the hit test. Because I mean, we draw entry. You know, we can just copy up our sprite batch draw pixel thing.
We want to do that if it is read only, right? Or we don't care.
Oh, for drawing we don't care. We always make the drawing. It's read only is for the update. Do it on the user update values.
We always draw.
We always draw.
Buffer days.
Which might be a little wasteful, but for UI,
okay, so
it's fine.
So layout. So what I want to do here is.
So you just by the way, you've copied up draw string, not draw bounds.
Oh, whoops. Right. Okay. So, what I want to do is grab this. I just want to call it start position. I'm gonna add size. Now I guess wait a minute. I don't want to add the Y to it clearly. This sucks. This is gross. And the size of... Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just thinking, yep, you're absolutely right.
I'm right that it's gross, too, but I don't like reallocating when I have this stuff already. But anyway...
this is just a thing you have to do, sadly.
And then I want I want it to be truncated by the start size, so what I want is just it goes from the beginning of the start to the end of the start, so that's got to be start size x start position. So that's my quote unquote right. Then it needs a width though, so I'm just gonna use the.
I'm gonna
Mhm.
I'm gonna make a suggestion here. In fact, that's not completely unreasonable. So just what we might do is just add a little helper method in here. Just to make life easy, so we're not carting around all this code, and because we're going to want to actually construct AABBs eventually anyway to do the contains test on, so we may as well also do the draw on this data structure.
I mean, maybe we'll put it in the AABB itself, but maybe that's not. But, we put an SB in there. We need a bounds. Oh wait, no, I took too much. Oopsie.
So it should be as simple as this, and that's just going to make our life a lot easier as we write this code.
Yeah. Oh, come on, just do the thing. Do the thing.
So just by the way, you're not drawing the right-hand bottom corner, you're actually drawing the size here. So that will also make things a bit easier. Easy.
Okay, so yeah, so what I guess what I want to do is now just make a start bounds and make a new AABB. That is the there's no constructor for this yet, but that's fine. I guess.
You can add one, but this is also fine.
Oh, well, you want to do it this way, yeah.
For now, that's pretty good.
Position is equal to this guy. Size. But before I was, for some reason, I wanted to steal the size from the layout, but I don't think that doesn't make any sense. But wait a minute, no, I want the start position or bounds position x plus start size. Wait, what am I doing? No, this doesn't make sense. Sorry.
It's all right.
I don't want to accumulate. Like, we already have the position. We just need the size is. We have the size, so I'm done. Okay, so start bounds. We're gonna draw that. See how wrong I am. Color aqua. Sure, why not?
Well, once you've got something on the screen, you get a rough idea of what the situation is.
Yeah, visual feedback for the win. All right, so, whoa. Oh, that's your screen. I'm like, what? Where is it going? All right, so I'm too far in. Actually, I'm not in enough. So I do need what I was thinking I needed. Okay, but I also am just not starting in the right place.
How have we added a checkbox to... How did that happen?
That didn't happen.
You don't have that bug. I've got that bug. That's
It's interesting.
Very interesting.
Copy
Anyway,
paste, probably.
I'd say so. Anyway, carry on. Let's change that so I can see it. But so you can see.
Yeah, I haven't added. I'm missing a whole section here, like the text. I forgot to add the. I mean, we're appending the text. I forgot to measure the text.
It's true.
One half of it. Possibly all of it. The text size, resources. It's a lot of measure strings in here. Text. Wait a minute.
Oh, I know why I've done that. Yeah. Forgot to clear the working buffer when I edited it.
Oh, this is a string. Oh, I have to do that whole is string thing. Right. Is string.
We should have. Do we have font measure string for
Yeah,
multi-string?
yeah, we do, but it won't work with
No.
multi-string.
So okay, this is the calculation we've already got. But I mean, by all means, copy this
Oh,
calculation. But it's also worth pointing out we already have.
yeah, we have it. Layout
Well,
bound size.
we don't have that because we
Oh no, because we
didn't get
added
the
to
whole text.
the whole shebang. So, all right, well I'll just rip it off.
So
Right, that's a different text. That's the text representing the working buffer.
So now we can do this cool little thing we were talking about before.
Text size, and then where am I? I just have to add this. Oh, right. Okay. Well, I'll just stick it on here. See how close. All right. Whoa. It's including the bracket, which I thought we wanted to.
Huh.
Well,
Yours is different to mine, so.
I didn't see yours. I'm too focused too much on my screen.
It's okay.
I didn't see. I feel like that's probably good. Other than maybe it's got to be -1, but that I don't want to do whack-a-mole if I don't know why I'm putting it there.
I wouldn't do -1. I'm just trying to work out why it is the way it is. Like maybe yours is text start. See, oh, you still got these brackets in here that we were going to get rid of too.
Oh. Oh, were you going to get rid of those?
Yeah, just to simplify how we code this,
right.
so we don't have to have multiple.
But I don't think that's related because we're getting this.
So run yours again, just curiously.
Might be fine. It could just be an issue of like rendering like sprite font stuff. Like there's an offset.
Oh yeah. What? Oh, what the?
It moved when I.
It moved. Oh, because you have it selected, focused. When you focus it, it moves.
It's correct.
Yeah. So, I see.
Ah.
So, it's not actually correct because when it's unfocused, so you're not taking into account the focus arrow, but you're also going in the wrong direction a bit.
Oopsie doodle.
It's all right.
Okay, well, in the unfocused state, it just looks like I'm actually too far forward. This box should be here. So I have too much X. And the caret is just the reason. I mean, the caret doesn't matter. This is because I'm not accounting for the caret bit. But if I was, this would also again be too far forward. So I guess step one is fix the. I wish I had my edit and continue trick on my mouse, but step one is
Fix that highlight here.
Caret.
Oh,
okay.
Worry about the caret next. Let's fix the normal case because it just happens to be like if this was longer, then we'd get
Yeah.
It would still be obvious that it's like that's
right. Okay, so let me think about it. The layout bounce position. That's the beginning of the line, and then I'm adding the start size. Well, to be more correct, I guess. Then I'm adding the text size, and the text is the label, and then I'm adding the start size. What's the start size? It's just the
It's the
Oh.
length of that text.
right, but I shouldn't be adding that at all. Because I'm drawing that section.
Yeah, like you've got you've got it twice. You've got size and then size.
Yeah.
So let's try that.
Well, yeah, that's gonna fix one problem, and then I gotta just add to the bit or the caret. Yeah. Okay. And that's gonna be, well, when do we make the caret decision inside draw entry? Is that right? Is that where we're doing that? Yeah.
Yes.
Poop. Okay. Well. I'm not gonna do that in there for now. I'm just gonna bring it up and wait, focus is ID, right? Yeah. So if all right, so var start. Actually, hold on.
Before we go down this kind of code duplicate road, because I mean that seems kind of not particularly nice.
Well, wait, we're already grabbing this. So it'll be in here. Well, no.
Although one thought is we could do the same thing we're doing here in draw entry and just exclude the caret from the layout that it returns.
Yeah, I think that's the right answer.
That is a possibility.
When you ask to draw, what's your layout? You don't expect it to decide something isn't in the layout.
Well, it's just an unusual thing of the way we've designed this, that the fact that the caret modifies the text. So we're running into that same problem again of having to lay out the I've lost how I was going to describe that, but it's the same problem that we're having here. Is the size of the thing that we're drawing changes. Which you probably wouldn't have that happening if we were drawing sprites for like the buttons and the focus caret and so on.
That's right. Yeah, it's a little mutatey.
So I'm gonna because we're short on time here, I'm gonna push us ahead just a little bit, and I'm gonna point out something that is interesting, and that is the position of this box relative to the start corner here, so this distance here, like we want it here, but now when we add this caret we want it to shift space caret to the right slightly. However, the distance of this red box from the right hand side that we want it to appear is the same no matter whether the caret is in there or not. That also saves us having to calculate the size of the text, because it only then depends on the size of the slider control. So we could do this all, instead of relative to the left-hand side, we could do it relative to the right-hand side.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Huh. Okay. All right. Well, then I will turn this into... Whoops. I do still need this. Or maybe I don't.
So
that's the end.
Yep.
The end is the plus text button at the moment. So let's draw the plus text instead. So the
okay, we'll do this plus text instead. I'll just comment this out for now. Because I mean, we don't actually want the. In fact, you know what? We don't actually need the bounds of the start at all. We actually only want the buttons. So the start is past the things we actually need. So we can actually get rid of text size and start by doing this. Although we actually need to still
inline that,
have that little spacer here.
All right. Oh, you got rid of. You don't even want to draw anything. Oh, I see.
So
plus bounds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do plus bounds.
Plus bounds equals layout bounds position plus well, hold on. So So plus bounds position equal to vector 2 layout bounds position x plus layout size layout bounds size x. That's the edge, and then oh god. Okay, right. And then the y is gonna be layout. Y. And then size is the plus size. Draw plus bounds. Oh, wait a minute here. This is, wait, no, this is from the right, so I actually have to subtract this guy, because, no, wait. This is the position of the line. That's the beginning of the line. And then I have to add the entire line to get to the end of the line. But then I need to also subtract the plus size width as well. And then this is fine, I think, because it's always the same. And then plus bound size is the size. Okay, I think that's, I'm gonna go with that.
That looks pretty solid to me, so let's run that and see what it does.
Yay!
Alright, so we've got the plus button, and when we focus it, it still does the right thing. So,
right. And then, yeah. Are we stopping? Or
I feel like we're way over time, so
yeah,
we're now
stop now. But I think it'll be warm up to just finish this next time.
Yeah, so
we need the minus box.
We do work in progress. So let's see. What do we need to do? We need to
draw the minus box. Calculate the size of the slider.
Yeah, and then we just need to
activate, do the bounds check.
Highlights. Make it clickable. So that seems like a pretty good thing to pack it away there. And then we can come back next time and we can continue rock and rolling. But yeah, now we have got the plus button figured out at least, and so we're well on the way. So
cool.
Thank you for watching, everyone, and we'll see you next time.